Good morning, UBS, and our very first official BeLive.tv UBS Live today. And a lot of things first. George is our special guest today, and as you can see him, we're side by side. And I worked out how to do the name thing is here on our screen now. So I hope that this is going to be our new way of interviewing our guests. And isn't it so much better to actually see both people rather than through a camera, through another camera and all that sort of stuff. So welcome, George. Go on.
Thank you for having me, Natasa.
You're welcome, you're welcome. And here's, if you can see there, guys, George has been interacting in our group for the last few weeks, and some of you go, where did this guy come from? Like, he's all of a sudden, hanging out in our, as I said, in our lounge room. I feel like UBS is my virtual. A little bit around the other day when I was visiting, but we thought, why don't you do a little bit of a tour, George, now, before, as we log on 5 minutes early, you guys, we want obviously for everyone to realise we're live, so you can check out what the space is like. I've visited and I highly recommend visiting. Show us, George. Can you walk around with your computer?
Yeah, look, I could do that. So basically the passion and the mission that I have really is to strengthen coaches, okay, and provide coaches with a professional environment where they actually have facilities for them to bring their clients and to work from here as well. So this is a training centre that is dedicated to a coach who can bring in their clients, and it fits 40 to 50 people. Over here we have round table rooms. So a lot of people understand what a round table room is, but we have 55-inch TVs. And this is where we suggest coaches start to bring their clients. We have individual consulting suites. Mm-hmm. And we've also provided a number of these rooms. So there's another room over there and a boardroom. So the boardroom is really good practice for a coach who is looking at entering into a corporate coaching environment. And it gives me the ability as the mentor to view how they're going, and also gives the coach the ability to impress their clients. So we think there's plenty of opportunity, Natasa, to make a difference to a lot of coaches and to really introduce them to a larger audience, right? Not a retail audience, a more commercial and corporate audience. Yes. So this is our brand, Coaches Avenue, and this is our reception. And as you can see, the layout is pretty impressive for coaches. So let me show you where coaches actually work, because there's no point in actually developing a fraternity of coaches if you can't provide access to where they work. So
let me just clarify. So the other space you guys saw was the space where you would host meetings, workshops, events and all that. And this is sort of a separate area, because I've been there, where they work in a co-working space or separate office space, yeah?
That's correct. So these, we have 40 desks here, and it's $150 a week, and coaches will actually work here. Yeah. And the idea is to, share best practice, to work together and to drive each other's strengths for better good of the community that's out there, not to work against each other, because that's just silly. It doesn't work.
I love it.
So the vision is we'll end up producing 40 to 50 of these around the country. Yep. We'll end up having our own business college, which we're launching in the next couple of weeks. And we'll be providing pathways of employment for coaches to larger organisations, because the key is to get people to pay for coaching whilst they're using a budget. So if you can actually get people to pay through a budget, and you've got the National Bank, or you've got Westpac, or you've got these larger organisations, you're laughing. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Nice one. Well, that was a great 5 minutes sort of warm up in the beginning as we get this live. So we have Christiane, hello, and we've got about 9 or 10 other people jumping on the call. So let's now make our official start to our Monday morning UBS Live and give you guys lots of value, because I think George comes from a different space, and I think he brings that perfect balance to the live coach that wants to get into that corporate space. So good morning, everybody. Officially 9 a.m. on the dot. to this morning's interview with George Barbas from Coaches Avenue. And this morning we're going to talk about the 4S Life Coach model for business success. But before we get into that, let me give you the official introduction, and then I'm going to sort of summarize as to what I think George stands for, just in simple terms, because sometimes we can read out all these official things, but just the feel that I have received and the conversations we've had and what I believe his absolute strengths are. So the official introduction is that George Barbas is a 20-plus year corporate strategist and has worked in USA, China, India, Singapore, and Australia. He has worked for companies such as Woolworths, Medibank, AHM, and has worked in the NAB as executive manager, sales and service strategy. He's most comfortable when leading over 10,000 staff and now has set his sights on developing the best coaching business in Australia. So he founded recently at Coaches Avenue to help struggling coaches in this particular industry. The vision is to help coaches earn over 100K per annum by educating them on how to improve the quality of IP value towards becoming evidence-based and working in real-time coaching. So in basic terms, we seek to help coaches evidence that they are a great coach and evidence that goals each of their clients have achieved as a result of any coaching, training, course or event. So Coaches Avenue offers will offer coaches to corporates and develop internal coaching teams for corporates. And as we saw, there's a co-working facility and lots of training rooms, boardrooms, meeting rooms, and also Coaches Avenue offers web development, video production, and strategic mentoring to ensure the success. So in summary, George has had this amazing, immense, long-term experience and connections within the corporate world. And a lot of coaches tend to work with clients, but when they get asked, well, what kind of specific results and evidence-based results have your clients received? Like an example in my world, you can see how from last week I changed my interview wall at the background. Well, for me, the tangible outcome when my clients finish my program is they've got a book in hand, right? So there's evidence right there. But a lot of the time, there's this feel-good feeling when someone works with a coach, but not evidence-based. So if you like, George has got the systems and the know-how coming from a corporate world where they know they talk numbers. It's important for them to know how many percent did we increase from last year, or, they want the evidence. He wants to bring that into the coaching space and obviously give the opportunity. Yeah. Right? So am I doing this justice, George?
Yes, you are.
Okay, very good. Cool. So, let's, hey, good morning, Kitty. And we've got lots of hellos. I'm just reading the bread, Christian. Nice to see you guys. All right, so make sure whatever we're talking about this morning that you guys are interacting with us, we can clearly see your comments here. Well, I can see them. Can you see comments as well at your end, George?
Yes, I can.
You can, perfect, because I'm still new to this system, so I wanted to make sure that we both can. All right, perfect. So let's get into it. So it's this that you believe coaches need to ultimately achieve their business success. And so let's go. You give me what you've got.
I give you what I've got. Okay, so look, my background respectfully is different to a lot of people. I'm a corporate person. So good morning, Christine. So basically, from my perspective, what I'm looking at is industry trends. So I've traveled the world and I've worked in very, very, really fantastic places. And right now our society has a number of challenges, and I think it's boom time for coaches. Mm-hmm. I think it's actually an ability for coaches right now to make a difference, because our challenges within our society around divorce and mental health and depression and, all the nasties in the world aren't going away. In fact, they're deteriorating faster than any solution that we've got out there. But what I've done in the last couple of months is built a really nice centre where I thought I'd bring Louis Vuitton to coaching and invite a fraternity and Chanel. But also what I've looked at over the last 30 days is, how do coaches interact on Facebook? Because Facebook is new for me. It's really new. Corporates don't use Facebook. We tend to use LinkedIn. We tend to write publications, do a whole bunch of keynote speaking and live a different world, right? So with Facebook over the last month, I found it absolutely fascinating because the level of intellectual waste is huge, meaning there are absolute superstars that I have seen and heard and evidenced, but potentially their positioning strategies needs to change. So I personally believe the amount of talent that I have seen in Australia is incredible, absolutely incredible. But my passion is really to teach the art of developing intelligence efficiently, methodically, where it's sustainable, where people continually move forward, and we can evidence by pressing a button how someone's feeling by percentage terms. We can evidence the goodness out of the coach to the goals achieved by their coach's client. So today, the industry seems to be, and Natasha, you're the guru because I approached you to get your feedback, the coaching industry is driven by emotion. You know, rah, rah, rah. That's not the way to grow a methodical business. Yes, you definitely need that. But I would like to tone down the rah, rah, rah and bump up the metrics and the measurements to actually provide six figures to coaches, because I don't think I've met too many coaches over Facebook that probably haven't got the potential to earn six figures. Yeah. So I'm not, and let me openly say this, I'm not a bullshit artist. I am a very serious person in terms of change. I've personally been impacted by suicide. I have very serious whys, and my purpose is to actually strengthen coaches so they can strengthen others. As you said, I'm very comfortable in large organisations like Woolworths, where we had 240,000 people. I can measure culture. I can measure if people are overstaffed or understaffed, if they're productive or not. And what I'm looking at doing is developing an army of change leaders who's passionate about creating sustainable change. So, you know, I've wanted to set up a business college, which we are. We're going to launch a business college in the next 2 weeks, and we're going to be issuing out diplomas of change management and leadership and diplomas of business. And the key for me was to provide a home to coaches so they can come work here and be proud of bringing their guests here as well, and make sure that it's affordable for coaches. So this 4S model that I'd like to teach is really, really simple. And it stands for style and substance. It stands for systems and strategy. So it's really 4 things, okay? And you're the one, Natasha, who introduced me to the world of 7 steps of this and 6 steps of this and 5 steps of this. And yes. Brett drove me mad. Brett O'Connor, hi. You drove me mad about making sure that I have 4 steps, because that's what everyone's used to. But the bottom line is, style is extremely important, and there's 2 components of style. It's how you look and how you present yourself, because in corporates we measure people by, you know, cufflinks and ties and, you know, your location. And it's extremely important also in terms of style to connect to your audience in terms of personality style. Some people want more detail, some people want cut to the chase, but a lot of people have been presenting, and I've been monitoring pretty much. I'm just wondering, have they figured out their style, and have they figured out their message in terms of style? Because a lot of them so far I think would be hit and miss. So style is extremely important, okay?
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. I think that's something that takes a little bit of time to figure out while you get to know yourself within your business and your flavor. Is it playful? Is it really, you know, sort of straight, you know, you're a straight shooter? Are you a person that, you know, uses a lot of F words and things like that? So, you know, and also dress style as well. How does that match? If you're playful, how does that match, you know, what you wear and all that kind of stuff? So that's what you mean by that, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
The next S is substance. People will only pay for knowledge. Knowledge is power. As advisors to corporates or advisors to mum and dads, you know, people are going to pay you for the ability to make a difference. So you need to have substance, and that's how you earn respect. And that's how you can earn your 150 or 200 or 500. So that phase in someone's business maturity is really, really important. There needs to be evidence that you have serious depth, that people are listening to you, because, as I said, knowledge is really, really power. There's a couple of differences that I've noticed, Natasha, is there's a lot of sellers and tellers rather than educators and leaders. You know, The how to actually be successful is what I've been tracking over the last month or so. Not a lot of people are giving people the ability to learn how. A lot of people are getting out there saying, this is what you need to do. You need to set up a group, and then you need to connect with these people, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. And they're actually saying this while they're driving. And it's just ridiculous. The ability to actually teach and transfer knowledge is evidenced through someone's substance. So when I'm mentoring somebody, I'm wanting to know, where are they getting their learning from? Where are they gauging their best practice? Are they reading? What are they reading? Are they being mentored by somebody? So substance is very, very important, because you can't, in a corporate board room, get up and just drive motivation. You've got to have substance and credibility behind you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the next part of the S program is really having a systems thought process. It's being systematic from start to finish. If we're looking at improving someone's mindset strength, or rehabilitating somebody, or creating a new habit for somebody, we have to have a systems approach. I hear more about sales funnels and Hootsuite and a whole bunch of other stuff, rather than actually systems to improve someone's mindset and ability to proceed. And that's been quite fascinating, because I'm very much a process thinker. I like fixing people fast. Fix people fast. Measure what is going on. Track week to week differences. $10 for a hammer. So it's actually making sure that we have less steps, cost, effort for the customer. I've met coaches who are really proud to say, yeah, well, I've got 20 customers and I've got them on a monthly retainer for 12 months. Well, that goes against our culture, because I believe that if you've got that thought process, you're dragging out a relationship, and that's not really what I believe is the best way to go. So for us, it's about the art of having a systems thought process that manufactures accountability. So, I'm proud to announce that I have the mindset platform, which I developed. It's cost me over $500,000 to develop, and I can measure the mindset of anyone in the world right now by percentage score. And I can track to see what goals were achieved yesterday, the week before, the last month, and I can compare male to female, and I can compare age groups. And that product was designed for me to share our strengths with the industry, because my job as an industry leader is to provide the strength to the coaches so they can make money, so they can make a difference. There is a sense of guilt, Natasa, of coaches making money. It is crazy. You need to make money.
Why do you think that happens?
Well, I don't know, but I was one of them, okay? So I went from a lot of money to nothing, and guess what? When Vodafone ring me, I usually say, well, I can't afford to pay, and but I'm a nice person. You have to make money, and that is the message. For coaches to strengthen one another, you have to make money. So I don't think there is an art of, it needs to be balanced up. Because the bottom line is the return on investment is huge for an organization. So if we're going to introduce a coaching fraternity to a corporate, we're charging $3,000 a day. They want 10 grand a day in return. It's really simple. It's money, right? So corporate thinking is very, very different. It's cutthroat and it's quite ruthless. And the last S is really strategy. Do you have a strategist by your side? Do you have someone who's a macro thinker? Do you have someone who's holding you accountable as a coach? The worst thing in coaching is really holding this bravado in of insecurity, because you can't really announce to the market that you're not feeling great. So coaches need to actually talk to other people and get the right people in.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important to elevate our thinking at a macro level. And right now, there's a lot of fear and apprehension in our community. We've got a lot of change going on in the USA. We've got a lot of change globally, right? But strategically positioning yourself as an evidence-based coach will give you credibility and will be opening the doors to you to HR people of organizations that will say, hey, Natasa, could you please come in? We'd like to have a chat to you. Because that's ultimately going to be very welcoming for the coach, because these organizations pay out of a budget. And they actually want to retain the best talent they possibly can, because guess what? They've got the same problems internally. But right now the coach is inefficiently trying to tackle one-on-one, whereas if you're introduced to a credit union or an insurance company or a government department, you're talking about hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's where I think you're bridging the gap, is that first of all, you're giving people the opportunity to also coach, because a lot of people, as you say, let's even remove the fact of, evidence and, say those people have, 20 clients or whatever, but that's a rarity if they have 20 clients or a retainer, barely have a hand, which means they're not getting to help as many people as possible, which is why they started out on this journey, is to help others. And then they quit after less than 12 months because they can't sustain their life, as you said, because then at the end of the day, they have to get paid in order to be able to continue helping other people. So I think what you're doing right here is actually getting them to do what they originally got qualifications to do, and to coach other people, right?
Correct. And it's also, it's the realization that coaches can be successful. There's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace.
Yes.
And to be really honest with you, I think coaches are talking about team effectiveness and they're talking about leadership. And the challenge from me to the coaching industry is to evidence it yourself. Yeah. I'm putting myself out there as a leader saying, what I have is yours. Come in, start to work together, start to pool and share resourcing. Because right now, Natasa, think about it. There's 1,000 coaches. There's actually 38,500 people on LinkedIn with the title of life coach. Would you believe?
Yeah. I'm not surprised you'd evidence that.
I can evidence it. Trust me. So, 38,000 separate websites, 38,000 separate costs. Everything is separate. There's no economies of scale. So I was lucky enough to be an advisor to Deloitte Consulting, and I walked in there and I went, wow, this is what I want to create. Deloitte have class, sophistication, elegance. Their people are proud of working for Deloitte. They're assigned to large organisations. And I'm telling you, the people that I've been watching on Facebook have what it takes. There's a lady who's coming in today, Andrea, who has so much zest and energy, unbelievable. Kitty is someone who I've actually never spoken to, but this lady here is posting some fantastic motivational content that actually contributes to a better culture. Which leader within an organisation doesn't want that? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, Helen, who's just commented there, and she's just from a corporate background. I think, Helen, you'll be worthwhile chatting to George after what we spoke about on Saturday night. Anyway, I'll be talking to you about that this week. And Kitty's coming to do her book in 2 weeks' time, less than 2 weeks till her retreat. But I reckon Kitty would do really well in that corporate space, bringing her health and wealth, formula. So as you say, all of these people have got the ability, as you say, and the personality to do it. I think that there's just that, because it's really, really tough. If you go through the journey success is available to everyone, but it doesn't have to take as long. And I know that there's a lot of people that would like to work with corporates, but they don't know how to get their foot in the door. So maybe, do you have any tips? I mean, coming from that industry, I know we're stepping away from the 4 S's, which we'll summarize at the end, but do you have any tips if someone did want to get into that space? I mean, of course, you're the bridging gap for this as Coaches Avenue, but let's say someone was completely on their own and they chose to do it. How would someone approach, because say me, I've never worked with corporates. Yes, I've done a couple of corporate paid speaking gigs and all that sort of stuff, but really it's not my space where I hang out, so I don't really have those answers. Do you have a few little sort of points as to what they look for, or how would you even get a bit of their attention?
Look, that's a pretty good question. And it's really, really simple, okay? Look back at your experience and who you've supported in the past and actually evidence what you've helped that person achieve. So you've got some literature to say, when I first started with this person, that's how they felt. This is what I did, and this is now the way they're feeling. Get something documented, and then literally go to the sector that you're very comfortable in, because it's different for me to teach you the acronyms of banking compared to the acronyms of insurance or compared to non-for-profit. Think of a sector that you're very comfortable in. And do you know what? Get out of your comfort zones and knock on the door of a HR person and say, hello, my name is George Barbas. I'm being extremely proactive and I'd like to meet you. And, you know, contact them via LinkedIn, because corporates live in the world of LinkedIn.
Yes.
It's really about arranging a lunch, because they do lunches and they do breakfasts, and it's about actually just putting yourself out there. Now, if you have 10 meetings and you only secure one, that's great.
Oh, it's awesome.
Have your 10 meetings, and that's what I want to provide people, the confidence to be able to know, who do I target? So if you're looking at, there are, you know, over 100,000 people in banking right now, but it may be a credit union or it may be a building society. But don't give up. It's not about having all these sales funnels. It's about you having integrity and confidence to be able to connect with people the old-fashioned way, picking up the phone and making a meeting.
So it's a more old-fashioned way approach, as you say, using the platform of...
A direct approach is very important, like I did with you, Natasa. You know, you're an industry leader. I picked up the phone and I spoke to you. The ability to create push versus pull, which is about pulling people to your world, is easier when you write a blog, and potentially in that blog you can evidence what you've done and why you. Okay, so then you have a higher probability of someone reading that blog from a HR perspective and saying, look, I'm going to talk to Stuart. He sounds like he's someone that we could use in our business. But that's still hit and miss. A direct approach to the entity that you want is the most efficient way of doing it, and making sure that your content, your speech, your offer is directly in line with their pain of what they need to solve.
Yeah. And and this is why I also encourage a lot of my people, because some of them do want to get into the corporate space and speak a lot more and all that sort of stuff. This is why I encourage them to write those books, because they're of course going to see you a lot more as a more credible individual. If you've gone as far as writing a book, and then you could send it in as a gift to the CEO or something like that, and then get their attention. You know, I always say, give away books. Don't worry about the 20 or 30 bucks. That's not where the money is. You know, the money is at the other end. And this is, you know, a few of my authors are on this call watching all of this, and I'm just saying, hey, here's some really easy tips. Finish your books and, you know, get going, and, you know, with the right support and the right person. So I think what you're doing is wonderful. It's a little bit different. You've come from a big experience. So guys, George is very systems guy, right? If you know DISC, we worked out he's a C, high C and then a D. So he can come across very straightforward and to the point and all that kind of stuff, but he gets the job done, which means he also evidences everything he does for people. Right, that's the whole point. And if you guys choose to get involved with Coaches Avenue, what he does, then you will definitely have evidence where you started and where you're going and all that sort of stuff. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And it's not about our success; it's about our coach's success, and it's about making sure that our coach can sleep at night knowing that we've made a big difference to that particular individual or that group. So. That's what we're about, right? Our culture is different. It's Japanese-based. It's when you come in here, you'll experience difference, but you'll also experience the inner belief and strength that we will provide coaches, because the last thing you want to do is work at home and not have to bounce ideas from, and then to feel insecure, right? Because your frontal lobe shuts down and then you start to become quite reserved. It's an unstable state of mind. So, for us, we're on the corner of South Road and Nepean Highway in Hampton, opposite Moorabbin Town Hall. You can come anytime you like. And if you're wanting to use a boardroom and you want to practice what it's like, come in. I'll donate 2 hours and you can come in and use your boardroom and invite, some of the clients. There's a young gentleman that I met on Thursday. His name's Caleb. Yes. And Natasa, Caleb, I counted 16 messages in a 20-minute conversation. It's 16 very, very good messages of how he could help coaches. The problem is the short-term memory can only hold 5 or 6. So I've asked Caleb to take the people that he was trying to teach and do it in a corporate environment so he can have a higher chance of actually transferring that knowledge. So your method of delivery is completely different when you've got an office environment to
yeah. So let's summarize. So if the 4 S's are style, yes?
Yes.
What was the second one?
Making sure you evidence that you have substance.
Substance, yes. Style, substance, systems, and
strategic thinking.
Strategy, right? So style, substance, systems, strategy are the 4 S's, life coach model for business success. Absolutely, go in and visit. One other thing George has offered us to do, I know we used to have lots of monthly, well, for 2.5 years as a group, Ultimate Business Support, I used to run a monthly networking event, and we'd get together and we'd have 20 to 30 people come along and all that sort of stuff. But we stopped doing that and introduced these calls so I can connect with the group and its members and add more value, because my life is pretty crazy with a lot of face-to-face events and travel internationally and nationally. So now it's like, this is how I connect with the group. But what we want to do this year is actually do like an annual party, okay? And we want to do it at Coaches Avenue, which George has said, I would love to provide the space for this party. So when I come back from the US, sometime in July, we're going to choose a date. We're going to have a big party there, so that those of you that haven't gone in by then to check it out, you can actually check it out at the time. I know the space is not yet launched. We wanted to actually do a launch, but I'm not going to be around, so they're going to probably do a launch. So by all means, George, tell the guys when you are doing a launch party or something like that in the next few weeks, and they can go along for that. But yeah, for anyone that wants to use that boardroom that you saw in there for 2 hours, George is donating a special. But look, get in and use it, right? Sometimes you can hear this and you go, oh yeah, that's an awesome idea. Yeah, I'll do that. Why not create that meeting where you have to meet someone there so that you actually start taking action that might eventuate into business, right? Otherwise it's like, well, when is it going to happen, right? And of course, George, you are available to chat to people if they're interested in, hearing a little bit more about what you're about. Yes.
Anytime.
Yeah. So guys, you obviously, by being in this group, you'll be able to connect with George through his Facebook contact. Just inbox him, and if you want, actually, George, why don't you type up your best contact email where it says comment on Facebook. I think if you scroll down through all the codes, it should be in there. Or when we get off, you can type it in that chat box. So I think there's lots of interaction and confirmation, and great offer, George, and people saying that they really like what you've pulled together here. I think the reason he's come out of nowhere, guys, is because he's obviously been working really hard behind the scenes to set this up, to launch it properly, and he's being the high C guy, he would have wanted to cross his T's and I's to make sure that it's got a Chanel feel, that place, because it is all black and white, and then it's got the touches of different colors, which is totally my style. I love it.
Yeah, it's been good. Look, I've lived in America last year for 5 months to understand trends and industry solutions over there. Helen actually said it sounds like Kaizen. So Kaizen is something that I launched in the National Bank in 1998. I'm the founder of the Lean Thinking Company. I've been trained by Toyota, lived by Toyota, very close to Lean Org. So Helen, you are a very smart lady, because Lean is share and grow with people. So the philosophy of continuous improvement is pretty much been through my DNA for many, many years. So I've taken my time to do it right. And for us, it's about now surrounding myself with the right people who are serious about change. So this is a whole new experience for me, Natasha, and I thank you very much for allowing me to present on Facebook.
Yeah, you're welcome. We usually finish these calls on a quote, and because obviously I'm not running a PowerPoint screen where I would normally say have my quote thingy there, is there a favorite quote that you have? I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, that you can share with our audience.
The message I'd really like to send the industry is, together we are something. As individuals, we are nothing. And that to me is something that I'm really serious about. If Helen and Kitty have strengths, I have strengths, Natasa has strengths, and we put all our strengths, we could be helping 100, 200, 300 people. So to me, together we are something, and individuals, we are absolutely nothing. That's what I believe.
That's an awesome one to finish on. Thank you so much. So as we said here, guys, remember what the wisdom George has shared. Pop in there. Have a look at his space if you are Melbourne-based. We made the trip and it was totally worth it. And just on next week, we have got someone from the UK joining us. So it's going to be very late at their Sunday night from over there. John Ty will be on, and we're going to be exploring the world of Kindle Direct Publishing. So he's an expert at that. We connected have me obviously doing what I do, and we realized we're actually quite different. Because I teach a lot of the offline and, as you say, George, old-fashioned way of getting the books done and hustling with them, by doing events and speaking and all that sort of stuff, whereas John has gone into just purely an online strategy through the Kindle Direct Publishing. So I'm going to pick his brain because I always love learning new things about books. So that's is coming up next week. And then after that, I'm off to the US. So you guys might have to see me at random times. I'll be probably doing UBS lives at random times, not probably a Monday morning thing, but still bringing lots of value. And I guess I'll be teaching you stuff as I'm going along and learning myself. So again, once more, thank you, George. Thanks for being our guest this morning. And we pretty much organised this on really short notice. I didn't have anyone in. And happy 1st of May. I think it's an international kind of holiday in a lot of parts of the world, the 1st of May. So, yeah, I know in Macedonia we used to get 2 or 3 days off this time of the year.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Natasa, and I wish everyone a wonderful day.
Beautiful. See you guys. Have an awesome day. Bye.
Bye-bye.